What's good? Yeah, I'm out here. Yeah, message of the day. True freedom is a mindset. You know, it's born from within. You know, it's a mindset, people. You know, so much I could go into, so much I could build with you on when it comes to true freedom. You know, everybody's gonna define it differently for yourself, for ourselves. But you gotta take what comes with it. You know, true freedom, however which way you choose to pursue it or to define it for yourself, right? It comes with responsibility. And it's really made up of either whatever definitions that you choose to subscribe to, but you're gonna be tested, you know. But it's a gorgeous day. I'm exercising my true freedom in the way that I want to. That's my mindset. That's my willpower. You know what I'm saying? My word to myself. My self-awareness, my self-definitions, my self-respect. You know, all of the things and all of the forces seen and unseen that make me who and what I am. No one can define that for me. You know, because it's up to me. I have to come into an agreement, you know, whether it's through study, experience, both, you know, but I gotta weigh it. I have to weigh the definitions. I gotta weigh the historical value. I gotta weigh the outcomes. I gotta weigh, you know, what's really true and real to me. So I ask you, I pose a question to you. Have you done that self-work? The validity of the reality is based on the origins from which it sprang forth from. You know, look at words. Words have definitions, but those definitions, they come with a history, an etymology, an origin. You know, then it's through those words that people coming into agreement when it comes down to how they're gonna identify with themselves, with their culture, with their traditions, with their customs, with their reality, what they're gonna accept, what they're not gonna accept. So true freedom is also resistance, because in order for you to hold on to the definitions that mean something to you, you're gonna have propositions. But the value of the proposition is based on how much do you value the contents of the proposition. You know, how are you really gonna know where you stand and what's for you and what's your purpose, what's your true purpose, you know, what you really accept, what you really reject, if, you know what I'm saying, if you're not prepared to resist what comes against it. If you're willing to accept anything, definitions, you know, whatever it is that's being imposed upon you, or that's you're being propositioned by, if you don't have a foundation, then you're liable and you're open to accept any definition, any reality, you know, anything that's brought your way, you know, anything that you come across. How are you gonna know what's for you and what's not for you, what fits you and what doesn't fit you, what you want to do and what you don't want to do, what you should do and what you shouldn't do, where you going or where you don't want to go, if you don't really know the real true value of what comes with your true freedom and how it's defined? You're gonna always have other people, other institutions, or whatever, you know, seeking to impose and to tell you or to get you, you know, what they think it is or what they think it isn't, or what you should do or what you shouldn't do. So that comes with the turf, with the terrain. But if you don't have a position that you stand firm on, then how do you define true freedom for yourself? You see, just questions, you know, just questions. But This is just a moving meditation. You know, I'm just here to provoke the mind to think. True freedom is critical thinking. You know, but it comes with a responsibility, because when you take on the full responsibility that comes with true freedom, you're basically saying that you accept that whatever happens to you, up or down, good or bad, that you're willing to accept that it is your total responsibility in order to produce the outcomes that you saying you want to produce. So when you accept true freedom as your purpose in life, and you can't blame nobody else for what happened to you, because it was your choice. You see, that's the full accountability that comes with true freedom. That comes with your health, your finances, your environment, your relationships, whatever it is that helps to define your life. So if there's something in your life that's going on, until you're willing to admit that you have a role that you playing in it, and that you played in it, when it came down to you helping to create the circumstances that you saying that you don't want to exist, right? Then you're not exercising true freedom. Because as long as you keep trying to act like you're a victim of circumstances, then you're giving away your power to correct the situation. If you sit there, stand there saying, oh, woe is me, I don't like this, or you're not comfortable, or you don't like what's going on in your life, you got to ask yourself, well, why are you putting up with it? You may say, well, the situation that I'm in, I really don't have the power to do anything about it. But you got the power to make plans. You got the power to decide upon how you're going to respond or not respond inside of the circumstance or the situation. And then you also have the power to break free, however which way that's defined. And in a lot of cases, the path of true freedom is going to put you in situations wherein you may have to lose people. You may have to move. You may have to leave a certain environment. You may have to change your definitions and accept new definitions that are more in tune with what your goals and your plans and your purpose and your goal and your mission is. You see what I'm saying? Or are. Because it could be multiple. At what point true freedom is a path of self-discovery. True freedom is a path of self-mastery. True freedom comes with questioning everything that you say you believe, everything that you've already accepted, testing the validity of it, testing the outcomes, weighing it up against the real life experience, constantly looking for the contradiction within inside of what you say you think or believed or know to be true. And then not being afraid to accept that you found those contradictions within inside of what you have already accepted, and then doing what you got to do in order to make the adjustment. Because once it has already proven itself not to be 100% authentic, you know what I'm saying? You got to ask yourself, why are you still accepting it? Why are you still in it? See, true freedom is going to test you. True freedom comes with carving your own path. So if you're on the path of true freedom, there's no reason why you should be surprised when you and your conversation and your presentation to those who have chosen to use their true freedom to be subdued, to be manipulated, to be lied to be deceived, so much to the point where they become the lie. Knowingly or unbeknownst to them, they become the lie, they become the deceit, they become the manipulation, because they are not willing to resist. So through the acceptance of the lie, the acceptance of the manipulation, if they build their lives upon that, then they can't help but to regurgitate the lie, the manipulation, and to continue to put it into practice, because the things that are built, the only way that it could be preserved, even the relationships, is if they keep lying to each other. You see what I'm saying? Keep up the charade. But the only way that you could break free from the lie is to completely accept the truth for what it is. You see what I'm saying? And the moment you do that, that's the very moment that you've taken your power back. Because now, true freedom says, I will not accept what I do not want to accept. I will not be subjected to definitions that do not fit me. I will not participate within that which, I don't agree with. And it doesn't even have to be a proclamation or a declaration, but it has to be a self-discovery wherein you begin to think different. You begin to make different types of decisions that are directly connected and in alignment with what you say you know and have discovered and come to know to be true. But in that discovery, you still have to leave a side door open, because that's the only way that you'll continue to be open for new information. Because just because you left one situation and stepped into another situation, because you found out that the previous situation wasn't 100% authentic, so you got up out of it because you no longer wanted to be in it, then you step into a new situation that's better. But just because it's better, it still doesn't mean that it might not still have its own flaws. So what am I saying? The path of self-discovery and true freedom is going to consistently and constantly present you with circumstances and situations wherein you're going to have to continue to hold on and keep what you could keep and get rid of what no longer works. Once you find out that either your approach is not correct, the people that you're talking to and presenting to is not correct or not conducive, or you might have the right plan, but you might not be in the right place, or you might have the right plan and you might be in the right place, but you might not be talking to the right people. See what I'm saying? And it's your true freedom that's going to speak to you and say, hey, you know what? This situation I'm in, or I know that what I got is real. You see? But there's something within inside of the equation, right, that's preventing you from getting what you want. So true freedom is not going to allow you to make excuses. True freedom is not going to allow you to give up. Because if you give up on your pursuit of the reality that you know you want to live, the life you want to live, then you've already accepted the compromise that comes with the lie, the manipulation, and the self-deceit. Now you got to gaslight yourself to make yourself believe that you're happy. Now you got to gaslight yourself into trying to ignore what you already know to be true, because the acknowledgement of what you know to be true is going to speak to the true freedom that's inside of you, and it's going to move you to action. You're not going to be able to sit still. You're not going to be able to stay in that marriage. You're not going to be able to stay at that job. You're not going to be able to stay in that environment. And even if you can't get out of the environment, you're not going to be able to be quiet when they want you to be quiet. You're not going to be able to accept what you know is unacceptable. You're not going to be able to go along to get along because of a survival at all costs. You're not going to be willing to sacrifice your dignity, your self-respect, you're no longer going to want to be in places that you really don't want to be. Right now, if you somewhere at this moment in time that you know you really don't want to be, doing things that you know damn well you really don't want to do it, you gotta ask yourself why. Now, I understand strategy, I understand plays, I understand biding time, but what's the end game? Because I've met and talked to a lot of people that have tried to convince me that, the things that they were doing that they didn't want to do and really do, that was compromising their true self, their true self-awareness, their true freedom, their true will, their true desires, that it was for this XYZ purpose, or this particular strategy, or this particular plan. Well, if that's the case, then you should be able to say, well, this is the window. This is the short-term goal. This is the long-term goal. This is the mid-game. This is why I got started. This is how I got it started. This is the reason why I made this play. This is the reason why I had to do this. Why? Because you're able to see through the game, through the play, through the strategy, because you got an end game that you playing and making plays to get towards. But if you can't define the end game of what you are making those plays for, swallowing your spit for, holding your breath for, going for shit that you really don't want to go for, doing things you know you really don't want to do, then it ain't no play. You have submitted. You have allowed yourself to be defeated. You have become the sacrificial lamb on the altars of those who you giving power to over you. Because you're no longer in the fight. See what I'm saying? True freedom is what disallowed me to go for all them psychops they be running on y'all out here. Same thing that I seen them do, the social engineering of prison population, is the same level of social engineering that I see them working on the minds of the people out here in what you call free world society. What they do? Create a problem. Then when they create the problem, they flip it and make you think that you're the problem. Then they weaponize true freedom with consequences. Or they weaponize consequences and they use the consequences to divide and conquer you and your true freedom. So you're afraid not to do what you're expected to do when you know what you're expected to do or being expected to do is not in your best interest. But because you care about privileges and because you care about the things outside of you that you place more value upon than your true freedom, you compromised your bloodstreams. See what I'm saying? And at the time of the compromise, just like in the prison population, when they locked you down, when they cut you off from travel, right? When they forced you to have to deal with yourself and those that's closest to you in close quarters, you got cabin fever. You got weak. And they told you that it was your fault. But it wasn't your fault. You know, not primarily. It was your fault because you chose to give up true freedom. That's the part that was your fault. You chose to compromise with diabetes. You sold yourself the lie that you're supposed to have high blood pressure and a weak immune system. So here it is, an immune system, right, that been keeping human beings and animals alive for thousands, millions, and hundreds of millions and billions of years, you allowed your mind to get fucked so deep that you were consumed with fear and anxiety. And they proved to you, and you proved to yourself just how weak your willpower is. And they showed you, and you showed yourself that under pressure that you will fold. There ain't nothing that you can say. Oh, but you don't want time ownership. You don't want financial freedom. I do what I want to do, when I want to do it, how I want to do it. And if I can't do that, I'm always making plans so that I can do that. Her power is real. Sometimes you're going to be in positions where you may have to, but you better have an end game is what I'm saying. Don't talk to me about strategy and about biding time and about compromise when you know good and well that you really done folded. See what I'm saying? See, going through what some of us done been through, we can spot bullshit 10 miles away, damn near. See what I'm saying? I can feel your fear. I can feel your anxiety. I can feel when you feel like you're being challenged. I can feel when you feel like, you know, you could challenge me. But true freedom, see, those of us that deal with true freedom, we truly understand and understand that we are prepared to let anybody go their own way. That's what come with it. Don't care nothing about you getting mad. The truth don't care about your feelings. It ain't care about mine. True freedom proved to me that, yeah, I can have feelings, but when it comes down to the real situation, my feelings I can either use my feelings to my advantage, or those that oppose me can use my feelings to overthrow and to defeat me and to capitalize off of how I'm feeling. See what I'm saying? So until you master your feelings and you learn to get up out your feelings and you begin to accept this fight for what it really is, then you're going to keep getting played. And you're going to keep playing yourself out of your power and out of your true freedom. So what am I saying? Anything that I have ever brought to the people have always been about true freedom. You see, I'm fully prepared to go without and to do without certain things if I have to. I'm willing to suffer if I have to. I'm willing to do whatever it is I got to do in order to preserve my way of life. Can you say that about yourself? I'm willing to accept whatever comes with my decisions, because it's my decision. But in the power of my decision is me knowing why I'm making the decision. And if I got 1 million people coming against me after I done made a decision, then all 1 million of them is my opposition in that particular moment and within that situation. And then what we'll do is we'll play it how the cards are laid. See what I'm saying? Why? Because when you deal with true freedom, you can't be afraid to lose nothing and nobody. And you can't be afraid to not even lose your damn life if it come down to it. But that's not what you're playing for. But what I'm saying is, how far are you really ready to go for what you saying you really want? What you willing to lose so you can gain? Who you ready to lose? You see what I'm saying? Because some of y'all got people in y'all way. People, places, and things in your way, or you get what you want. But true freedom says, you see like how I'm trotting right now? See what I'm saying? When I move, and when you move, goddammit, they better be moving too. Because they either moving with you and for you or against you. Or they ain't moving at all. See what I'm saying? It's not a conversation. It's not a conversation. It's a destination. And the question is, are we going to the same place for the same reasons? Are we a part of the same vibe? Being that y'all want to talk about tribes. See what I'm saying? Shaka Zulu had a tribe. Shaka Zulu had elders. But, tell you something, when the circumstances switched up and the game switched up, warriors know it don't matter who it is, what it is, where it is, or where it goes down, right? If you're not capable of seeing a reality for what it is and what's coming up against you, and you don't see the threat, you don't see the storm before the rain hit your face, you don't smell the clouds, you're not in tune with the weather. See what I'm saying? See, there's a difference between a warrior and a soldier. Soldiers take orders blindly. See what I'm saying? So a soldier, to me, is a slave. Because they willing to lay it all the way down on the line for causes and situation that they're not even aware of the politics. They don't even know why they doing what they doing. They just know that they being told to do it. And they're trained to ask, to not ask why. Just follow the order. Blindly. Shaka wasn't with that. He's like, yeah, y'all the elders. Y'all came before me. Y'all came before us. But guess what? We up against a new threat. We up against new shit that you ain't never faced before. That's why you can't lead. You led before, but you can't lead now. Why? Because your hearts have grown weak. You're weak, your body weak, your mind weak, your spirit weak. You're not prepared to make the decisions that need to be made in order to further the other generations. So you're going to have to step back. New ways and approaches had to be devised. You know what I'm saying? New strategies, new formations, new ways of going about thinking. They had to take old definitions and they had to reconfigurate. They had to change things in order to meet what? To meet the current conditions. See, a lot of y'all just see network marketing. You see products. You see comp plan. I see time ownership. I see you off them jobs. I see you getting off the medications. I see you back in motion. I see you developing residual income, wherein you no longer have to sell your time. I see you moving unified as one mind, one body, one soul, one movement, one people. You know what I'm saying? Because you understand, you able to see past the topical equation. You able to see the destination. You see what I'm saying? Because you seeing with more than just your own two eyes physically. So I'm saying you seeing with your entire being. You seeing, you feeling, you developing, you experiencing. You see what I'm saying? Those are the only people that this is going to work for. That's who my conversation is for. You see what I'm saying? Because you'll never ever own your own home school, your own land. You'll never be able to grow acreages of crops. You'll never ever be able to utilize your time in order to develop your own crafts and your own gifts. As long as you keep selling 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 hours of your time every day. You know what I'm saying? Whoever control your time, control your mind. And whoever control your time and control your mind, control your dimes. You're going to always be paying, but there ain't going to never be a time when nobody going to be paying you except no mind. So you could continue to invest and divest yourself of your true freedom and your power when it comes down to you investing in true freedom by being willing to do what? Read Atlas Shrugged. Some of y'all need certain types of literature in order to see it. That's why I read everything and I listen to everything. Why? Because it's a total global conversation. I want to hear what everybody got to say. Because that's the only way I'm going to know what's being said at the table. That's why you got G8, G5, all these governments, everybody come together to talk about what? About their own reality. See what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, they already know who got the real power. Why? Because they're giving up true freedom. Why? Because they're afraid at the end of the consequences of what happened. You know what I'm saying? If they did this or they did that. You know, so true freedom, just like true slavery. You know what I'm saying? A real slave is somebody that know the truth and accept it. You know what I'm saying? That they not willing to take what come with it. It's not that, you know what I'm saying, all those that are subdued and in powerless situation, you in poverty, you sick, you this, you that, you complaining, you woe is me. It's not that you ignorant. It's just that you scared. You afraid of change. You have accepted the pain and the consequences because you done stepped outside of the fight. So you'll accept degradation and degeneration at all costs. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's your brother. What we talking about is freedom, time ownership. You'll never ever be able to be sovereign. You'll never ever be able to carve your own way. You know what I'm saying? Unequivocally. You know what I'm saying? You'll never ever be able, you know what I'm saying, to be where you want to be, when you want to be there without having to ask nobody for permission until you take back your true freedom. But if you ain't really even ready to even do the basic shit, then yeah, you done laid down. You done accepted your what you consider to be your fate. You know what I'm saying? You accepted self-defeat. And for you, that's just like being alive and dead at the same time. But for those of y'all that still got life and love living, I'm telling you, now's the time to come together, organize, to put your small dimes together so that we could create a bigger pot to get you freed up, you know, from the things that's oppressing you, suppressing you, repressing you, depressing you. So that we can always, you know, you can all get back or get to living a life that you really want to live without having to ask nobody why. It's your brother. I'm out of here. Peace. Get at me if you want to plug in.